Parent, are you ready to finally help your high potential teenager or young adult kid achieve success in school, sports, extracurricular activities, and in life? Most parents of high achieving kids, they assume that if their kid is smart enough, talented enough, driven enough, success will follow. Yet, you watch your kid procrastinate on things they seem to really care about. You watch them give up when things get really hard. What if I told you that talent is not the real bottleneck that is stopping your kid? The real bottleneck that influences and even determines your kid's long-term success is something that most parents never thought about, is something that most kids have never been trained to develop. In this video, that is exactly what we're going to talk about, and I'm going to share with you what that is and what you can do about it. Hi, my name is Dr. AI. That is really my name. I have spent over 20 plus years in education as a professor, advisor, scholar, researcher, and coach. Over the last 20 plus years, I have served hundreds of young people, helping them overcome challenges, achieve their goals, and become the best version of who they are. And after all of that, after the awards, after the publication, and even after building my very successful coaching business for teenagers and young adults, and I can tell you with complete confidence, my hand touching my heart, that the students who have achieved the most success were not always the students who are the most talented. Let that sink in for a second. The students who have achieved the most success were the students who were able to stay with problems for a long time. And that discovery is what I'm sharing with you today. And let's take a look at the secret that I teach you at the very beginning of this video. This is the secret that I mentioned at the very beginning. A young person's success is in direct proportion to their ability to tolerate discomfort. The higher the tolerance, the longer your kid can stay with problems without giving up. Therefore, the more challenges they can overcome and the more success they will achieve. And I'm going to share with you lots of research and studies across a number of disciplines from psychology, neuroscience, and performance research to really support this concept, tolerance discomfort. It is not about talent. It is really about how long can your high potential kid stay inside that highly uncomfortable situation. Okay, so let's take a look at this one, Dr. Angela Duckworth, and she has a really famous TED Talk on this topic. So she studied high performers in a number of categories, such as West Point cadet, National Spelling Bee, sales professionals, teachers, and students. And she discovered that success is not so much about how smart you are, how talented you are, even though that is what we hear on a daily basis. I'm a mom, have 3 boys. Every time I talk to parents, also through my own coaching program, and parents, and I can relate, as a mom, we feel so good. We say things like, wow, your kid is so smart. My kid is so smart. That kid is so smart. And those beliefs are not really serving us in terms of raising high achieving kids, because it is not about our talent. It is more so passion and perseverance. And if you ask me between passion and perseverance, I would definitely choose perseverance, because even the most passionate project you are doing, there are going to be so many challenging tasks. And passion, pure passion, can only carry you for so long. And if you really want to become the 1% for your kid, their ability to stay way longer with a problem must be so good that even passion cannot carry them enough. It's really that tolerance for discomfort, perseverance. So this is one book. And another one of my favorite one on this topic, talking about the importance of discomfort, is this book here, Antifragile. Nassim is also the author for another very famous book called The Black Swan. And I'm sure you have probably heard of that book. So in this book, and he argued that certain systems, individuals, and ideas actually thrive on discomfort, thrive on volatility, and thrive on stress. So that is my point earlier. A young person's success has so little to do with how smart they are, has 100% to do with their tolerance, their relationship to discomfort, their tolerance of things that make them feel very uncomfortable, and their tolerance of volatility, stress, and randomness. And so in this book, one of my favorite quotes in this book is this one here. Some things benefit from shocks. They thrive and grow when exposed to volatility, randomness, disorder, and stressor, and love, adventure, risk, and uncertainty. So in the book, actually, I do have the book here. So that is the book, and really recommend. And so in the book, he mentioned some things include human being and definitely include children. And in this book, there are quite a few chapters, paragraphs talking about parenting, education, children, even though the book itself is not about parenting and education. And in fact, I actually did a video here. You should definitely check out here or here. In that video, I made a compelling argument that as parents, even though we want to help our kids become more resilient, and in fact, that is something I help the teenagers and young adults in my coaching program to achieve. However, resilience should never be the final destination. And what we should really teach is anti-fragility, like this core concept here, because anti-fragility is the opposite of fragile, and it is actually one level above resilience. And so definitely check out that video here. And so just a quick 1 second highlight of what I mean by anti-fragility as one level higher. So when you look at the three systems, fragile is the glass. Under pressure, if I drop like a glass cup, the cup will be shattered. And one level higher is actually, okay, that's wrong, not a glass, it's actually rubber band, meaning that I stretch the rubber band, stretch. Once I release the rubber band will go back to the original state, original shape. That is resilience. You do not change. You go back to the original state. And anti-fragility, which is the highest level, argues that you actually grow stronger as a result of the discomfort. You become better. The best analogy for this is go to the gym, physical and resistance training. The more pressure, a weight you put on your shoulder, you work out every day, your shoulder is going to become bigger, gain muscle, become more muscular compared to the before state, before you started the physical training. That is the power of resistance. That is the power of discomfort. If your kid can really tolerate discomfort, they are going to become bigger, stronger, and better. They do not necessarily go back to the original state. So this book argues so well why discomfort is such an important factor for a young person, especially the high achieving category, to achieve incredible things in life, to accomplish impossible goals, to become the next Elon Musk. And so here's another one. I actually also have this book, but I don't know where that book is. Also one of my favorite books, and this one's here, The Comfort Crisis. So in this book, the author argues that modern comfort actually undermines human health and fulfillment. And so here, a major argument in the book is that voluntary discomfort can restore balance and resilience. And in fact, in this training here, I also give some examples that parents, as much as we love our children so much, we are actually creating an environment that is very hard for our children to build their resilience and anti-fragility, because we are making the home environment too comfortable. Your kid is now going to become better and stronger when the environment is very comfortable. That is what Michael argues in this book. And he also said that we really need to rethink the important role of hardship in a very comfortable society. And you can really literally replace the last word with very comfortable school environment, very comfortable home environment. Think about it. When your kid goes to school, they have teachers, counselors. There are so many layers of protection at home. Your kid has grandparents, parents, so many people help them, protect them, guard them, love them, and they're all good. That's what we're supposed to do. On the other hand, the more we protect our kids, the more comfortable they become. Therefore, the harder it is for them to actually really stretch their comfort zone, be in that discomfortable environment, and eventually achieve success. And so the last example I want to share with you to really support this argument, my observation that a young person's success is in direct proportion to their tolerance of discomfort, is this principle here called the Yerkes-Dodson's law. And what you see here in this graph are the horizontal line is pressure, stress, arousal. The vertical line is about performance, low and high. And what you see here is that when the stress level is really low or when the stress level is high, performance is also very low, right? So the left of the bell curve, the right side of the bell curve, and only when a kid is experiencing a moderate level of stress, and that is where and when they achieve their best performance. So again, this supports my observation working with young people for 20 plus years that the more a young person can tolerate discomfort in that moderate level of stress level, and that is when they grow their resilience muscle, they build their anti-fragility muscle, they are able to roll up their sleeves when things get harder instead of giving up. So I actually got to my conclusion before I discovered lots of research. And it's really nice to see the parallel between my personal observation after 20 years in education, plus what the research has suggested. So let me recap. After 20 years, and I formally believe that a young person's long-term success is in direct proportion to their tolerance for discomfort. That is the secret. It is not about talent. It is not about passion. It is really about this long-term tolerance for discomfort. So at the end of the video, I'm going to share with you tolerance discomfort self-assessment. Please make sure you do that assessment for your kid, for your children, because at the end of the assessment, I give you a personal interpretation that tells you where your kid is at in terms of their tolerance for discomfort. Okay, and so the second section for the training is, and I have 3 sections for the training. We discussed the first one, the secret. The second one is, let's take a closer look at this tolerance for discomfort. So I actually have a term name for this. I call this the Discomfort Advantage Framework, what you see here. And the core idea I already mentioned quite a few times. A young person's success is in direct proportion to their ability to tolerate discomfort and engage with that discomfort. Are they using the discomfort as energy, as a catalyst to inspire them to learn more so that they can close the gaps in their skills or mindset? Or are they using the discomfort as a way to destroy themselves before the game has even started? And in this section, I'm going to share 3 things with you. The very first one is that I will share with you 3 types of discomfort. And the second one is 4 levels of discomfort. The last one is that we're going to look at the intersection between the 3 types of discomfort and the 4 levels of discomfort. First, let's take a look at the 3 types of discomfort. So the 3 types of discomfort that really describe where the discomfort is happening. Okay, this give you clarity and direction when you are working with your kid. I work with lots of student athletes. In fact, I actually had this coaching call with a student a few days ago, a student athlete, actually 2 student athletes last Friday. And both of them shared, one is a boy, another one is a girl. Both of them shared Dr. I. But at the end of the day, after a long day at school, both of them are high schoolers. They don't feel like working out for another. One is a soccer player, another person does ice skating. So they both mentioned that they don't feel like doing exercise by the time they get back home. They still have to do homework. And then after homework, that is, they have to do additional, or sometime early in the morning, and sometimes late in the evening, physical training. They are very, very tired. So when things like that happen, many parents are trying to, hey, you will be fine, just like toughening up. So when you look at the 3 types of discomfort, this give you clarity to add more specificity to the conversation with your kid. So one type of discomfort is really at the cognitive level, and this is where they're just mentally tired, they're mentally overloaded, and this is where this discomfort happens. And sometimes when that happens, they say that, oh, I'm just like not smart enough. And the second one is emotional discomfort. This happens when they have signs, when they feel like, hey, I'm afraid of failure, I'm afraid of rejection, and also fear of uncertainty. And when they have, oh, I don't want to do this, and what is really stopping them is that mental block or emotional block. What if I fail? And the third type of discomfort is the last one. This is the action level, the behavioral level. So when you hear something, when you see resistance, when you see a very low level of tolerance for discomfort from your kid, so your very first reaction is, hey, quickly ask yourself, is this tolerance for discomfort happening at the cognitive level? They are thinking, I'm not smart enough, I'm so tired, I'm mentally overloaded, I can't do this. Or at the emotional level, meaning that fear of failure, fear of rejection, oh, I don't know how to deal with that feeling. Or at the behavioral level, right? And this is what I hear from my students a lot. The second one, the third one are what I hear the most from my students, fear of failure. And the last one, oh, I will do it later. And even myself, I really struggle with this one, consistency, taking consistent action for my YouTube channel. I will tell myself I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it later. I'm so tired today, I have so many coaching calls. So those are the three types of discomfort. If you really want to help your kid build up their discomfort tolerance, it is very important that you know where the discomfort is happening. Now, let's look at the 4 levels of discomfort. So in contrast to the 3 types of discomfort describe where the discomfort is happening, cognitive, mental, or behavioral. And the 4 levels are actually talking about how your kid is responding to uncomfortable situations. Okay. So the first one is where, this is how. And I actually have a prettier chart here. You can see this is what I created, what I call the discomfort advantage pyramid. At the lowest level, this is avoid. And each of the 4 levels can happen cognitively, emotionally, and behaviorally. So at the avoidance level, you hear from your kid, I don't feel like it. This is what I hear a lot from young people, athletes, high achieving kids. They are doing so much. They are definitely not lazy. They have so many things on their plate. And often, sometimes they just feel tired. They will say things like, hey, I don't feel like it. Therefore, I don't want to do it. Again, when that happens, you ask yourself, is this avoidance at the cognitive level, at the emotional level, or at the behavioral level? Because in coaching calls, once I figure out which level it is happening at, I will have corresponding strategies to help with my students. And so the second level is resistance, right? I will do it, but I will fight with it. And the third level is tolerate, right? I know this is hard, but I'm doing it. I can tolerate this. If your kid can get to this level, your kid is pretty good. Their tolerance. So when I say tolerance for discomfort, if you can imagine, there is a scale to measure tolerance of low level and high level. If your kid has a high level of tolerance for discomfort, your kid is more likely to achieve impossible things in life, because the definition of impossible goals means that those goals are big, audacious, and very, very hard. If it is easy, it wouldn't be called impossible goal. For an impossible goal like that, there will be loads of roadblocks, hardships, challenges, rejections, heartbreaks. So if your kid cannot handle that, there's no way that they can accomplish any impossible goal. So imagine that as a skill. And even that's why you want to do the self-assessment to really understand, where is my kid at? And the highest level is seek. And this is an elite level. I personally do not run into lots of young people like that. And I don't think that's a reflection of me. And I think that is a reflection of lots of young people today. I think what lowers the tolerance for discomfort in this day and age is really a big factor, social media and technology. And I still remember Dr. Andrew Huberman, he mentioned something that really caught my attention. He said that large amount of dopamine release is very dangerous for the brain. What this means is that when your kid is experiencing a large amount of dopamine release, they feel so much joy, so much happiness, content satisfaction without investing in very much effort into the activity, that is not good for their brain. And this is exactly what happens as they watch social media, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, and play video games. They do not have to invest in so much time, energy, and effort compared to learning a sport, joining a competition, reading a book, trying to prepare for an exam. All of those activities will need so much investment from your kid. But in comparison, social media, TikTok, they need so little effort. But at the same time, your kid is feeling so good, so happy in a very short period of time. Therefore, as a young person gets used to this, it is very hard, or at least getting harder and harder for them to engage in tasks that have a long delay until they feel the joy, the satisfaction, the content. In the moment, it is really about hard work, and the delay may be a few months, maybe a few years. If your kid is into entrepreneurship, they're starting a business, they're creating an app, that delay may be a few years. And so, not really relate to this video, but I want to say this. If you really want to help your kid get to the highest level, the elite level, you really have to discipline their environment. On my channel, I discuss so much about not relying on your kids' willpower, but actually disciplining the environment so that the environmental design is helping your kid get to the elite level, meaning their level of tolerance. The more they consume digital media platform, the harder it is going to be for them to get to the elite level, meaning that they are intentionally seeking hard things on purpose. And I personally believe, because of social media and technology, that's why on a daily basis, I run into fewer and fewer kids in this particular elite category. More and more people are getting used to being very, very comfortable. Again, I'm not saying this to blame anyone. I think all of us suffer from that. Our lifestyle has become so convenient. The more convenient our life has become, the harder it is for us to tolerate discomfort, such as Amazon same-day delivery. I feel impatient if I have to wait for 2 days. Where is my same-day delivery? Okay, so in this table here, I give you a more detailed explanation, but this is a high level. And avoidance, I don't feel like it, resist, do it, but complains and resents it, and tolerate and stay in discomfort long enough to actually execute. If your kid gets to level 3, that is already a winner, the highest level, but there's always room for growth, gets to the highest level. And the highest level is they are actually seeking challenging things, hard things on purpose. They are more obsessed with growing who they are as a person than trying to protect that image. Hey, for example, I'm a straight A student and I really want to protect that. Therefore, I'm intentionally taking easier classes. I'm doing things that are safe, that I know are within my comfort zone, that I know for a fact I'm not going to fail. So they can tolerate, but they are not intentionally seeking out challenging things on purpose. Okay, so we just look at the 3 tabs. This is where the discomfort is happening, and the 4 levels, this is how your kid is responding. And as I'm mentioning this, you probably will already have a pretty good understanding where your kid is at in terms of challenging situations in life. Do they avoid? Do they resist? Do they tolerate? Or are they actually actively seeking hard things on purpose? And the last one I want to mention in this section is when you is to look at the intersection between the 3 levels, the 3 types, and the 4 levels. And this can be a really powerful tool for you to look at. Okay, my kid is avoiding. Is the avoidance at the cognitive level, the emotional level, or the behavioral level? And this is exactly what I use in my coaching calls so that I can really coach them. If this is emotional, then I will have a different strategy compared to, hey, this is actually a behavioral. And then I will have a complete, so at every level needs different strategies. That's why sometimes you just read a book, you listen to, watch a YouTube video, it doesn't really help your kid because the book author doesn't even know where your kid is at. That's why please take my assessment so that you can have a more accurate understanding of where your kid is at in terms of their tolerance for discomfort, so that you can have the right coping strategy to really help your kid eventually get to the highest level. They are seeking discomfort on purpose. The same thing here, resistance. If they are resisting, what are they resisting? Is the resistance happening at the cognitive level, the emotion level, or the behavioral level? Or they are tolerating, right? So I think I made my point. So take a look at this and develop corresponding strategies based on where your kid is at. And that is the second session for the training. The last one, as I shared with you, I really want to show you this assessment that I actually spent quite some time to create. And this is the assessment that I asked my students to do. And because self-awareness is the very first step to change. If you don't even know where your kid is at, you are going to have all sorts of strategies. Some may work, some may not. Some may even push your kids into the wrong directions. And you definitely don't want that. And the best remedy to stop that from happening is doing some sort of assessment or work with a coach to really understand where your kid is at. So let me show you the assessment. And so the assessment result will tell you, so there are total 15 questions, 1-5. Once you finish the questions, you will get a score. The score will tell you, hey, is your kid in the avoid zone or the resistance zone or the seeking zone or the tolerance zone? So you have very good understanding. So in the tolerate zone, that means high level of resistance and also so tolerance zone means high level of resistance and lower level of confidence. But the seeking zone, again, that is the gold mine. That is where the magic happens. Tolerance is really very good. The elite level, the 1%, okay? So the 1%, the seeking zone, this is where a kid has high level of confidence, high level of growth mindset, and also high level of resilience, okay? Very high. So you can look at this. The avoidance zone is high level of confidence and growth mindset and the low level of resilience, right? And the resistance zone is low of everything. They literally pretty much resist. Okay, so take a look at this and let me show you so here's the link. And again, the link is in the description. So get the link and you can take this assessment for free. And you just need to fill this out altogether, 15 questions. Once you get to the last page, you'll see the result for your kid. And you don't have to, if you know your kid pretty well, you can do this behalf of your kid. Okay. And so thank you so much for another great video. I highly recommend, if you are interested in having your kid work with me one-on-one to really help them enhance their resilience, enhance their mindset, to really understand where they are and help them gain some clarity regarding their life goals and create a game plan, I recommend you use the link in the description box to book a complimentary consultation with me. In that clarity consultation, you and I, we're going to take a closer look at where your kid is at right now. Where would you like them to be? We're going to look at the gap and we're going to create a game plan to close that gap. If you're interested in having me work as a coach for your kid, and I only do one-on-one coaching because I believe transformation has to be personal. I love that customized approach because the traditional cookie cutter approach didn't really work out for me. I don't want to duplicate the system that is not working well. And therefore, I advocate for a highly customized approach to really work with the kid at a very deep, intimate level across a number of high-level disciplines to really help them reclaim and elevate their power, confidence, motivation, and achieve even more success, really get to that elite level. And not only a high level of tolerance, but actually they are intentionally seeking challenging things on purpose. So in the link, in the description, there's a link, use that link. Do not book a call unless you are serious about working with me. My spots are very limited. Right now, I actually do have a waiting list. And so do not book a call if you're not interested. Respect your time and respect my time. And thank you so much. Definitely take this assessment and check out this video here and here. In that video, I walk you through a process of how I helped a high schooler completely reclaim, elevate her motivation in about an hour. She's also a student athlete, a very high potential, high achieving kid. So check it out. Thank you so much for another great video. See you.